Ladies and gentlemen, in the time we've got, we just wanted to give an overview of the program we've been running at Goldman Sachs for 12 years now. It's called the Goldman Sachs Autism Work Placement Program, and we're up to our 58th candidate that we've sponsored through the program. Of the 58 placements, we've employed 5 of them as permanent staff members. And I think one of the headline numbers that comes out of this is what people have touched on. 90% of the placements we've had have gone on to secure permanent employment. Across our campus, we've taken placements from the investment banking division, legal, mailroom, operations, technology. It's campus-wide, so it's not sort of restricted to one particular area of the firm. And as champions internally, we try to continually raise awareness when people are looking to hire or they have some sort of immediate employment need. Have you thought about hiring somebody on the autistic spectrum to perform that task? So we're constantly trying to push that message internally. The placements usually run for a 6-month period on a rolling basis, and some teams in certain divisions have actually adopted that placement as part of their overall staffing. So they'll expect the placement to roll every 6 months, and that person there'll be a permanent position in that team on a sort of a rolling basis. What's been quite a focus is lining up the roles and the functions that we have with the right type of people and right type of candidate profile to come into the firm. So we've partnered very early on with the Prospects, the employment arm of the National Autistic Society, very much in our infancy. More recently, we're working with AS Mentoring, but to echo Jane's comment, we're looking forward to working with Alliance as well. That's a relationship we can certainly foster and take forward. As a general comment, we've experienced that candidates are highly analytical, meticulous attention to detail. They excel in functions where there's an element of repetition or some framework. And unsurprisingly, one of our biggest divisions is operations, and sometimes retention is difficult in that division to maintain people because there is repetition. It plays very well to bringing candidates in on the autistic spectrum to be in those sort of divisions. With that, I'll hand over to John Young, who's an associate in the investment banking division. John's been with the firm for 10 years, and he can give a personal account of his employment journey.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Well, my time at Goldman Sachs can be defined by many things, such as a wealth of career accolades and recognitions, performance reviews that get better year after year, and being able to develop an unimaginable level of confidence. In addition to this, I've also been able to draw upon my personal experiences to inspire and motivate others and act as a mentor, as well as enhancing my own personal life greatly. Well, going back to where it all began, I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome relatively early on in life, meaning that throughout my time at school and university, I always had all the right support put in place, meaning I was able to thrive during these times. And this resulted in me graduating from university with a degree in geography. And as I left and carried on through life, I felt this was a success that was set to continue. But as I started along the path of job finding, I found this to be far from the case. I applied for many jobs during this time, but never during any point in the application phase did I feel I was ever given a chance to sell myself effectively or develop any of my skills, strengths or abilities or what I could offer employers. And as a consequence, I struggled a lot during this time, with many of my applications getting turned down, and the few times I did get interviews, I encountered the same sorts of problems, never really being able to sell my strengths or abilities, or even get an understanding of what employers were looking for. In addition to this, everyone else I knew coming from a similar sort of background just seemed to be walking into some kind of employment. It was, however, during this time that I enrolled with Prospects, which was the employment arm of the National Autistic Society. And right from the start, Prospects help proved invaluable. Their help in job finding, the application process, and how to sell myself effectively was proving invaluable, and suddenly my applications were becoming a lot more successful, and the number of interviews I was having going up. And though I was yet to find ultimate success, it was when they started their work placement with Goldman Sachs, offering paid work placements to their candidates with Asperger's syndrome, that things truly took off. Goldman Sachs put forward a role, and I was identified as a suitable candidate for it. When I first enrolled, the first step of this was to have an interview, which, though informal, was still very thorough, and was purely to gauge whether I'd be suitable for the role and comfortable for the environment I'd be working in. This was then followed with a meeting with occupational health to determine any reasonable adjustments that might be needed. And though these were very few, all the immediate people I'd be working with were given thorough training in Asperger's syndrome and to know exactly what to expect and prepare for, and if necessary, any possible adjustments that may be needed that may be required around my needs. The job itself was in the investment banking division and involved the updating and managing of one of our major document databases, ensuring its contents were always fresh and up to date, and ensuring it was always something people in the team wanted to use. This later extended to analysing performance metrics around it, and later on having individual consultations with bankers in my team. Right from the off, it was a role that immediately enabled me to use many of my great analytical skills and similar strengths, and also relished the opportunity to work in a big office environment where I could really push myself and constantly build my skill set. Throughout the placement, I was always allowed to develop at my own pace, with extra work and responsibility only being given to me when my supervisor felt I was ready. And this and the other adjustments mentioned beforehand proved highly effective, and I was able to be very productive during this time, consistently producing a very high standard of work and establishing a great relationship with the rest of my team. This all resulted in me having further extensions made to my contract until I was eventually offered a permanent position and taken on full time. I was told I'd become a real asset to my team and had become far too valuable to lose. That still is true. It does. Okay, anyway, that was almost a decade ago, and my career at Goldman Sachs continues to go from strength to strength with no signs of slowing down. Whilst all the adjustments made available to me at the very start of the placement are still in place, they are rarely needed. And at the moment, the same high standards expected of every other employee at the firm are expected of me also. Well, that's really my story, but I think I should now touch on the many great things this has all brought to my life. Career-wise, it has brought many benefits, such as me being able to build on the skills I already had, such as my great analytical and problem-solving skills, which, as I've discussed, were already so vital to the role in the first place. And it's brought many new skills to my repertoire, such as my communication skills, having improved tenfold. I'm now able to sell my ideas far more effectively and communicate very effectively with all colleagues at all levels of the firm. And in addition to this, I've also learnt the value of teamwork, which I consider highly important, because before the placement, I saw myself as strictly an individual and really worked strictly along those lines. But obviously the result of this is that my ability to work in a team has gone up considerably, but my qualities as an individual are still very highly valued and still highly appreciated. And as a result of all this, my networking skills have obviously gone up as well, meaning my ability to form professional relationships inside and outside the firm have vastly improved. Okay, on a more personal level outside of work, whilst now being able to buy many things I've always wanted to buy, or visit many places I've always wanted to visit, and live completely independently, even though the reality of paying for a mortgage has now hit home. The most important thing is how I've grown as a person. But I now feel confident to drive my life forward any way I want, and basically take on anything I want to do. In addition to this, I've also been able to give something back, both as a mentor and in many people's views an inspirational figure. I also mentioned finally being heavily involved in the same work placement scheme I came to the firm in, which has been so successful for me, and which to this day continues to develop and gain further acclaim and recognition. That's it.